Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, I'm Abby. Today we're gonna be talking about my spring TBR. I am so excited for spring. I am not someone who likes winter. I'm okay with fall. I adore summer. I really like spring. So I'm excited for all of the spring books or books that remind me of spring that are on my TBR. Let's go through them together and hopefully you guys can find something that you want to add to your TBR. I want to preface by saying there is no way I'm going to read all of these books, but we're gonna do what we can. Some of these books I own, some of them I don't. Some are physical copies, some are on my Kindle, so we're just gonna show all of the book covers off to the side here. And I have divided this by genre. So we're gonna start out with the one that I think feels the most like spring to me, and that is romance. The books on my radar for romance. First up, we've got Picking Daisies on Sundays. Honestly, I saw the cover. That looks like spring. I don't really know much about this book, but I do know that it includes fake relationship, which is one of my favorite tropes, so I love the cover. The literal best vibes ever. The next one, I'm not really sure if it gives spring vibes, but the cover makes me feel like yes, and that's You've Reached Sam. I have heard that this book is emotional, and I'm a little scared to read it, but pretty high on my spring TBR. What I know about this is the main character's boyfriend dies really early on in the story, and then you're following her journey. So yeah, super sad, but I do love sad books. The next on my list is Yours Truly by Abbie Jimenez, because I have read the other two books in this series. I read Just for the Summer first, then I read Part of Your World, and this is the middle book. The whole reason I'm putting it on this list is because I need to read this book because then it completes the series, and I feel like the other ones, like, they were maybe more summer, but I'm excited to read this one regardless, so that's why it's on the list. Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. I think that this one follows our two main characters who are graduating from high school, so that also gives like springtime energy to me. And I think it actually takes place in one day, but I could be wrong about that. I am fairly certain that it's Rivals to Lovers, which is not really my favorite, but we shall see. The Love of My Afterlife is next on the list. The colors, they're just giving spring. The basic premise of this book, the main character dies by choking on a cheeseburger, I'm pretty sure. She goes into like the waiting room of the afterlife and finds out that she has 10 days to go back to Earth and find the love of her life. I feel like I've heard mixed reviews on this one, but it does have a really good average rating on Fable. It's over 4 stars, so we'll see. The next two books are new releases that I'm dying to read, and they come out in April. Anybody who is a romance lover knows what I'm about to say. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. The premise of this one sounds amazing. It sounds more historical fiction vibes than her previous books. If it is her writing, I'm set. I'm good. I'm gonna be happy with it. And I've also heard that it is based roughly, or it was inspired by The Last Great American Dynasty by Taylor Swift, which is one of my favorite songs. So I'm like so excited for this one. And the next new release is by none other than Abbie Jimenez, Say You'll Remember Me. My sister-in-law got an ARC copy of this book and has already read it, and I'm jealous. I have heard that it is pretty sad. I honestly want to go into this one pretty blind, so I've not really even read any summaries on this book. We're just gonna read it and take it as it is. We also have another Emily Henry book, and that is Funny Story. I still haven't read Funny Story. I was stubborn and I waited for the paperback to come out before reading it, but it is out now. So I'm gonna read this book. I'm really excited for this as well. I think when I get Great Big Beautiful Life, I'm gonna get it on my Kindle, and then later down the line when the book comes out, I will purchase it. Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I haven't read any of this author's books before. I recently read another pregnancy trope that I wasn't wild about. I talk about that in, I think, my next vlog that's coming out. This one I am actually very interested in. I think I'm going to really like it. This is the one on her list of books that I've been most interested in. This one's gonna make some people happy, probably in my real life. Love in Other Words is on my list. I cannot believe I haven't read this book yet. This is one that I do own and I've had for a little bit. I'm excited for it. Christina Lauren is, they're two people, right? It's like an author duo. I have heard that this is their best work. So, very excited to get to it. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't wanna know a lot. when going into this book. That's all I had for romance, so we're gonna move on to the next category, which is just fiction. So that's gonna be literary fiction, general fiction. So fiction is a category that I quite enjoy. I think it might be my favorite genre, which I know that like encapsulates so many different things because general fiction is very, like it says in the title, general. But one of the things I really appreciate about this genre is that it's not as predictable as like say romance, because for the most part in a romance you know what's gonna happen, but in a fiction book you don't always know. So Alone with You in the Ether, I believe this is a general fiction. I could actually be wrong about that. I don't know, I haven't read the book, but I think that the cover makes me feel spring and, you know, maybe going into summer, but definitely is feeling like spring. This says, Alone with You in the Ether explores what it means to be unwell and how to face the fractures of yourself and still love as if you're not broken. This next book I literally found randomly when I was going book shopping online. Never had heard of this book before. Went and looked at the premise, thought it sounded really good. So this is Adelaide. Here's what the cover looks like. I partially liked it for the cover. I am a sucker for a beautiful cover. I definitely judge books off of their covers. Sorry. But this is about a girl who goes and lives in London and she meets this boy, falls in love with him, but he is not really giving her back the same energy that she's given him. So like the little premise at the ending, it says, with unflinching honesty and heart, this relatable debut from a fresh new voice explores grief and mental health while capturing the timeless nature of what it's like to be young and in love with your friends, with your city, and with a person who will not love you back. Haha, unrequited love. What can I say? I'm a sucker for it. So that's Adelaide. The next book I have is Tom Lake. Like, I don't know when this book became on my radar, but I remember when I was looking at it, I was like, I think I want to save this one for spring because, again, the cover, it's like the flowers. I just think it's really cute and pretty. Apparently this is a story about family love and growing up, all things that like tug at your heartstrings. It also has to do with an actor, some stuff about theater, things that I love. The next one I have on this list is actually an ARC copy that I have on my Kindle, and it is CoverGirl. There's not really a particular reason I have this as my spring TBR except for the fact that I am wanting to get it read within the next few months because I want to write my review on it. This book is about a girl who gets scouted as a model and then I guess her story from there, or like how it affects her, which a very fascinating premise to me. I love pretty much any books about like stuff like that, fame, models, actors, writers. Like I like that type of story, so we'll see how we feel about this one. It's not out yet. I think it comes out in August, but it will probably be in a future video. The next book I own, and I got it from a thrift store and I'd never heard of it before, literally ever, never seen it. It is called The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake. I feel like citrus, it feels like a spring and summer. It's really feeling like it's getting into those warmer months, warmer weather. So basically that's why I have it on the TBR. It does not have a good average rating though. The average rating on Fable is 3.16, but I did get this from a thrift store for like $1, so I'm going to give it a shot. I'm gonna read it. It's basically about this girl who, when she turns 9 years old, she realizes that she has the power to feel the emotions of the person who made whatever food she's eating. So on her birthday, she's eating her lemon cake. Her mom seems like a happy person, but the cake tastes of sadness. I don't know, I was very intrigued by that. It could be a situation where it has a great premise and they just didn't follow through properly. We'll find out when we read it. Also part of my shopping trip where I got that book, I also got Confessions of a Shopaholic. I've never actually seen the movie. I know a lot of people have seen the movie that I know, but I just thought it'd be fun, and I like reading about people who are making terrible life choices, like spending all their money and getting tons of credit card debt. So that's why that one's on there. I think also the cover is looking like spring. I'm sorry I keep bringing up the covers, but like truly, I just care so much about covers. So the last one I have for fiction is Born for This, and I've seen this author on TikTok, and I then was also getting it pushed on Kindle Unlimited because this book is on Kindle Unlimited. It's another book that focuses on fame, I believe, and basically just like the price of fame. I think that, I don't exactly know what it follows, but I am very excited to read this book. All right, now we're moving on to our smaller categories. Next up we have fantasy, which is not my favorite genre. Okay, don't go crazy, don't be mad at me. I have a hard time relating to fantasy books, but I do have a couple. First up, we have the first book of Shatter Me. I think I would like to try this book. I think it's kind of more dystopian. It is on Kindle Unlimited, so it's not me going out of my way to like buy this book, but I do think I want to give it a try. I don't really know much about it. I'm kind of going in blind, but I know this is a very loved series, so I'm gonna give book 1 a try. And then I don't think that this book is necessarily spring energy, which I kind of feel the way about fantasy in general. I just don't think that a lot of fantasies feel very spring. But The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time, a very long time, and I've had it on my list. So I think I'm just putting it on here so that I have it more in the forefront of my mind. If you don't know the premise of this book, this girl, Addie LaRue, she makes like a deal with the devil where she can live forever, but nobody who encounters her will remember her. And then one day someone remembers her. So, okay, I know I just said the thing about fantasy not giving spring vibes, but the next book on my list is Girl Serpent Thorn. The cover is making me think that this might feel a little bit like spring. I know basically nothing about this book. I watched Rachel Catherine read it in one of her vlogs, and she didn't like give it that high of a rating. However, I bought it because I like the idea of reading a standalone fantasy, and this one is, and it's like maybe like 300 pages, a little bit over. So it's like shorter, which could mean that it's just not that good, or I could just enjoy it because I get through a fantasy from start to finish, whereas most fantasies are series. I also have Divine Rivals. Any particular reason why this is spring? No, I just think that the main characters just make me think of spring. I don't know anything about them, just like seeing fan art or even like the artwork that is on the book or like on the other versions, like the UK edition I think has people on the front, and it makes me think of springs. And I wanted to put some fantasies on this list because I am trying to get into fantasy. I just haven't really found my groove with it that much, except for I do have some fantasies that I really love, but that's not what this video is about, so we're not gonna talk about that. And then the last one is kind of an honorable mention. I do not think it gives spring at all. I could be completely wrong, but I just really don't feel like it does. I'm wanting to continue the Throne of Glass series because I read book 1. I liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars. So I do want to continue it. I want to read at least the next book, and the order I'm choosing to read them in is book 1, book 2, then the prequel, and then going back to book 3. Because that's the way that Sarah J. Maas says to read them. Now we have a category for classics, because if spring makes me feel one thing, it makes me feel like I should pick up a classic. I don't know why that is, but it does. So I'm not gonna go over anything to do with plots of these books because these are classics you probably already know, and if you don't, go ahead and look them up yourself. I'm just gonna rapid fire pretty much go through these, but we have The Scarlet Letter, we have The Picture of Dorian Gray, The Secret Garden, which is definitely giving spring, and then The Perks of Being a Wallflower is another one that I think I would like to read at some point, so it is on the list. Then under mystery thriller, we literally only have 2. I want to continue the Natural series because I read book 1, loved it. I would like to continue that series. We'll see if I read all of them this spring or if I just like slowly read 1 each month or whatever that is. I think it's only 4 books, which is kind of sad. I definitely want to prioritize continuing that series. My other thriller is The Reappearance of Rachel Price. As we can tell, I think I'm leaning more YA for the springtime. Probably just because it's not as heavy. It feels light, it feels bright and fun. So honorary mention category, I'm gonna have a nonfiction category where there's also only 2 books. One, I'm wanting to read Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. I just have never read this book and I think it would be amazing for me to read this book. I hear it talked about so much in Christian circles, and like I'm genuinely just really wanting to read that and absorb it myself. And then my other one is from a YouTube channel I used to follow. Literally, I would watch every single one of their videos. Yes Theory. One of the guys from Yes Theory, Matt Dahlia, he changed his last name, there was a whole thing with that. He wrote a book called Talk to Strangers about their time on Yes Theory. It's a book that I actually own. I'm really excited to read it. There you have it, guys. That is my spring TBR. Let me know what you guys have on your radar or any specific books you think I should add to my list, because of course I'm not getting to all these and I'm also probably gonna read other books. So if you guys have any suggestions for me that give you that spring energy, please leave it in a comment. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did get this far, comment this emoji for spring. You can follow me on all my socials. We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram. You can follow me on Fable, that's linked below. All of these books will be linked below if you guys want to check them out. I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye.